So let me pick up part 3 of the where to store your Java script file in relation to your HTML. And we talked about some of the, then part 2 is where how you can access some of the return in of the HTML elements with the get element ID, and we did select all and get some of those with it as well with it. And the last part I want to talk to you about is going back to that question is where should you save your file. If you recall from the beginning of this, I talked to you about is where do you store your files and where do you save your files with it. And they're reminding you that it's in the head, the body, and the external files that we store our files with it. And it really, the answer is it just depends on what you plan to do. So this is the correct answer. If do you want it, if the file requires you to modify and change the file for the structure of the layout of the page before it's moved, then you need to put it in the head section. If you want to return a file such as a form that you put in and you hit a submit button, well, the JavaScript needs to be in the HTML body with it. So it really all depends on where you want to load this with that as well. So if I for example, if I went back to our code over here and you look at the index over here, here's our script right here, all right, and this is in our body. If I took this code right here and if I took this and I pasted it inside of our head tag with it, and I want to show you over in the side, look, it says undefined. Well, of course, because you're asking it to actually return all of these content of the HTML elements when you're telling it to load first. So remember that code, it loads from top to bottom. And in this case, I'm asking it to load my JavaScript first. You're telling it to basically go to these query all, pull the classes and all that stuff when it hasn't read any of that stuff yet. So having it run in the head section in this case is just wrong with it. So we need to put it back inside of the back to the body of the script and how you run with it as well. So this is an example I want to show you. Now the other piece I want to talk to you about is do you remember the concept, the DOM concept with it? So let me just make some notes here. So and the third point I want to make here is made some notes for you. So the third is why, because of remember the DOM is top to bottom. When we actually look at the parent of the HTML, which is the most highest tag, and you indent in for the head and the body section with it, and how it loads in first and how it loads the body next with it, your request is done, and that's why you get an undefined in this scenario with it as well. So the correct answer to answer the question is where do you want your JavaScript and what do you plan to use, if it's interactive, or what do you plan to use your page? Do you want to make a game out of it, or what's going on? So if you want to perform on any interactive web page, then it needs to be at the bottom. If your web page needs to change the layout of it, then it needs to be in the head section, such as the bootstrap. Remember the bootstrap exercise that you did something in your Web 1 class with it, something along with that needs to be in the head section because that changes the layout and the structure with it. Same goes as if you're running anything with a jQuery with it as well. So any jQuery that needs to be in the head section with it. So these are the type of stuff that we need to actually pull to have a place where you want to put your your JavaScript. The question is, what do you want to do with your HTML page with it? So remember that there's 3 locations. There is the head, the body, and an external file that you can actually put this as well. So this wraps up the content for where to store your files, how to access your file, well, basically with it. This is important with it. So this wraps up the third video of this part right here. All right.